What Cleveland is facing right now is a moment that could define the next decade of their franchise, and yet the people responsible for steering the ship seem terrified of embracing it. Instead of leaning into the spark that Shadur Sanders brought to a team drifting aimlessly through another lost season, Kevin Stefanski is clinging to the familiar patterns that have doomed the Browns for nearly 25 years. This reluctance isn't just caution. It's fear. Fear of committing too early. Fear of being wrong. Fear of changing the comfort of routine for the potential of something extraordinary. But the NFL is built on bold decisions. Champions are made when uncertainty is met with conviction, not hesitation. Shadur Sanders stepped onto the field in his first start and brought something visible, something real, something that ignited his teammates and forced the league to take notice. He brought excitement. He brought hope. When has Cleveland last been able to say that about a rookie quarterback? Every year, the Browns sell their fan base the dream of stability, the dream of development, the dream of a plan. But when the moment arrives to actually commit to nurturing a quarterback with star potential, they retreat into the same indecisive habits that have turned their franchise into a cautionary tale. You can feel the tension rising because the locker room knows what it saw in Las Vegas. Myles Garrett knows. The wide receivers know. The offensive line felt the difference. For once, the offense had life, and not because of safe, cautious checkdowns or carefully scripted drives meant to avoid mistakes, but because a quarterback with real talent wasn't afraid to push the ball downfield. It was imperfect, it was raw, but it was undeniably promising. And for a team starved of momentum, promise is everything. Yet promise means nothing if your head coach refuses to acknowledge it fully. When Kevin Stefanski delivered another carefully measured response after the Raiders game, confirming Shedeur as the starter for San Francisco but only in the context of a week-to-week evaluation, the message rang out loudly across the league. It wasn't confidence. It wasn't conviction. It was damage control. Stefanski is trying to protect himself more than he's trying to build his young quarterback. And that is exactly what infuriates Deion Sanders. He's watching a franchise that has no reason left to play it safe continue to play it safe out of habit. This is not a playoff team. This is not a season on the brink. This is a team sitting near the bottom of the league with the rare gift of discovering potential in an unlikely place. When a season is lost, the greatest weapon you can gain is clarity. Instead, Cleveland is choosing confusion. And this is where the deeper story emerges, the part that stretches far beyond football and into something personal, something human. Deion Sanders has watched his son fight through misconceptions and prejudices for years. He watched him get labeled privileged because of his last name even while he worked harder than anyone in the room. He watched him get ignored by draft evaluators who couldn't see past Colorado's record. He watched him fall to the 5th round even though his film showed first-round talent. He watched him arrive in Cleveland and immediately get treated like an afterthought, relegated to scout team duty when he should have been developing with the quarterback staff. He watched organizational decisions pull opportunities away instead of creating them. And now, after Shedeur finally gets his moment, steps up in the brightest spotlight, delivers a win, and injects hope into a wounded franchise, Deion is watching the organization act like nothing has changed. That is why he has reached his breaking point. It's not about favoritism. It's about fairness. Inside the Browns facility, whispers are starting to spread. Coaches know what they saw on the field. Players know the truth. And deep down, even Kevin Stefanski knows that this kid can play. But knowing it and acting on it are two different things. The stakes feel enormous because they are enormous. If the Browns commit to Shadur Sanders and he blossoms into the franchise quarterback they've been chasing since the late 1990s, everything changes. Their future changes. Their culture changes. Their relevance in the NFL changes. The problem is that commitment requires courage, and the Browns organization has rarely shown it when it mattered most. They hedge. They stall. They overthink. They run from the very risks that could elevate them. As the 49ers game approaches, the pressure only intensifies. San Francisco isn't a soft landing spot. They bring one of the most aggressive, disciplined, and punishing defenses in the league. Their pass rush doesn't give quarterbacks time to breathe, let alone think. Their secondary disguises coverages better than almost any team in football. If Shadur Sanders can withstand that kind of storm, if he can maintain his poise, if he can deliver even flashes of the brilliance he showed against the Raiders, then the coach's hesitation will no longer be defensible. The players will know. The fans will know. The league will know. And eventually, Stefanski will have no choice but to accept the truth that everyone else is seeing even when he refuses to say it aloud. The rookie has something special. Something teams spend decades searching for. But that's where the Browns' historical pattern creeps in. This is a franchise that has never known how to handle hope properly. They smother it with skepticism, drown it in overthinking, and crush it with impatience. Shadur Sanders is not a miracle worker. If Cleveland continues to treat him like a placeholder instead of a foundational piece, they will ruin him the way they've ruined so many before him. And Deion Sanders will not let that happen quietly. This situation is becoming a test of philosophy, between a father who believes in his son's future and a franchise that hasn't believed in anything for 25 years. In many ways, Shadur has already won a quiet victory. For the first time in years, Cleveland fans are buzzing about potential instead of pain. They're analyzing throws instead of injuries. They're talking about the future instead of the draft order. But this is a fragile moment. One wrong decision, one badly managed week, one confused message from Stefanski could shatter everything. The Browns have a chance to break their cycle of quarterback instability, to choose a path of hope instead of fear, to build instead of replace. But only if they face this moment head-on instead of avoiding it. If you've been locked in on this unfolding drama in Cleveland and you're ready to see whether Shadur Sanders can finally break the curse that has haunted this franchise, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more deep breakdowns and real talk. Do you think the Browns should commit to Shadur right now? And is Kevin Stefanski